What is up, everyone? Welcome back to some more Higurashi. It's been a hot minute. Like I said, took my little vacation. Was gone for a little over a week, but I'm back at it now. We back again. In the previous recording session, I'll be honest, I did have to go scrub through the last video because my mind was kind of blanking. The only like big event I remembered was Rika's death, but beyond that, I genuinely did not know where I was picking up at. But honestly, I'm not that far off from it. In the previous recording session, we saw the kidnappings of Kimiyoshi, and then we saw Shion threaten Rika because Shion thinks she has this big plan to bait out whoever it is that's carrying out the Watanagashi stuff, right? And she, makes threats at Rika. Rika shows up trying to, get her with the poison. So we know that Rika has the poison. Ultimately, Rika gets the reverse thrown on her. She gets the poison injected, ends up taking herself out, so Shion doesn't get the satisfaction. We also learned that Shion and Mion are actually reversed. They like to, as kids, they like to switch places. And on, I'm guessing, the big night when, Mion, quote unquote, received her demon tattoo, that was actually Shion there, and the real Mion was the one that got sent to the academy. So we learned that the one we know as Shion has like this huge grudge because of it. And then obviously the search party for Rika and Satoko afterwards. And that's about where we last left off as far as I remember. There was the big search party. Yeah, because this is before Keiichi is like connected the dots and figured out that something is amiss with that Shion hasn't been seen for a few days, yet I've been talking to Shion. How interesting, right? Because yeah, we saw the phone call, she calls Keiichi, but then Keiichi wears like, oh no, what happened to Rika? And Shion finds that so funny. And then they go looking for him, and obviously they don't find shit. And I believe that is where we immediately pick up at. So, without further ado, let's jump back into it, shall we? Click back into the game, shall I?
皆さんまだ生きてる？
Kimiyoshi was hanging from the collar with his head turned up to the ceiling. Oh, Kimiyoshi's still alive. He didn't even move when I walked in. Maybe he's already dead. Satoko's lying on a crochet. Oh no. No. Fuck off. Don't tell me this is what I have to come back to immediately. Fuck you. I was trying to give this game some fucking praise for not showing me the fucking death of Satoko because it's not necessary, but they were just delaying it. They were just delaying it to fuck with me. God damn it, I just fucking started recording. It was like the second fucking sentence in, and you're already hitting me with this? This is some bullshit. Fuck, dude. Come on. This is what I get met with. I hate this. I hate this. God damn it. God fucking damn it. This is some bullshit. I hate y'all. I hate y'all so much. Satoko was lying on a cross-shaped restraining table. She glared at me with red and swollen eyes, which must have been that way from crying. I wanted to put her on that special restraining table to pound nails into her hands, but Satoko was too small for that. I walked up to Kimiyoshi and poked his body with my toe. There was no response.
君吉のおじいちゃん死んだ？人殺し。人殺し。
Maybe Satoko had witnessed Kimiyoshi's last moments. I took a thick knife from the wall and stabbed Kimiyoshi with it. There was no response.
君吉のおじい生きてるなら正直に死体のふりして逃げ出そうなんて通用しないから。
I walked over to the pulley that was suspending Kimiyoshi.
最終通告生きてる？生きてるなら返事してね。
I paused just for a moment, then turned the pulley. Kimiyoshi's body swayed strangely in the air. It looked much more like a corpse like that.
どうしてこんなことをするんですの、シオンさん。
ん？ああ、なるほど。
The door to the huge cave was still open. I bet Satoko had talked to the one in the cell while I was gone. That's how she knows my name. Although that's actually not my name at all.
シオンじゃなくて、あんたたちがミオンだと思っ、まあややこしいだろうから理解しなくて結構。
よくもみんなを、リカを。
I'd allowed Satoko to watch me take care of Rika's body. Of course you did. Of course I let her see Rika's neck too. Yeah, no, of course you did. For the same reason you're keeping Mion alive too, right? So they have to suffer watching the ones they care about fucking die. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, because you and your fucking hate boner for Satoko. Ugh.
フルでリカは自業自得。
No,
あいつは私を殺しに来たんだよ。
because you deserved it.
返り討ちにしたのさ。
そんなことあるわけ。リカがそんなことするわけない。
信じないならそれでもいい。あんたにはどうでもいいことだし。
私は
殺す。
Satoko's eyes went wide. She was expecting my answer, I'm sure, but she still looked shocked. I bet she didn't expect me to state it so openly. I heard the noise of something hitting iron bars echoing in the huge cave. Shion's voice echoed there as well. I answered her clearly.
今頃罪が分かったかい？あんたはそれをサトシ君の時にしなかった。だからサトシ君は虫けらのよ。あんたはサトシ君を救える100億の瞬間を見捨て。そうさ、それがあんたの罪なの。
Before even finishing my sentence, I stabbed Satoko's right arm. Her blood started to flow out. This was nothing compared to what happened to Rika Furude. I twisted the knife into Satoko's arm. She bit down hard, crying. Why couldn't you say that for Satoshi-kun? Fuck you. It's too late now. I was the one screaming like you back then. No matter how loudly I screamed, it never reached them, spared him, or saved him. I want you to go through the same thing I did. Mm-hmm.
よーし、じゃあこうしよう。あんたはこれから1000回言い終わったらサトコどう？私は嘘をつかない。あんたがけじめをつけたってことを。さあ、どうするの？ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。
Shion started to apologize like a broken record. She's so stupid and honest. She's not even thinking of cheating. Bet Shion really will count to 1,000. Except Satoko on the wrist. Mm-hmm. Shion's voice got louder as if trying to overpower that scream.
泣くのはあんたの1000倍。泣けばニーニーが来てくれる？ニーニーがかけてきて私を跳ね飛ばしてあんたを助けてくれるのかな？サトコ、聞いてる？聞けよこら！あんたは自分のあんたの存在がどれほどにサトシ君を追いつ…ニーニー。そう。あんたはニーニーって泣けば泣きさえすればいつもサトシ。でもね、サトシ君の負担ってものを考えたことがある？サトシ君はね、あんたと同じね。傷つけば血も流れ、痛めばうめく、全く同じ人間なの。あんたの代わりに矢面に立ってくれたサトシ君の痛みをあんたは理解していたの？してない。しようとさえしなかった。あんたはサトシ君に甘えて、サトシ君に寄生していた。そうさ、サトシ君が傷ついて流すその血を舐めてお前は生きてきたのさ。そんな呪われた身でありながら、あんたはその罪、私の手に好きなだけ泣き叫べばいい。そしていくら泣いてもサトシ君が助けに来てくれないこと、そう、 お前が追い詰めた、お前がいなくした、お前がサトシ君を殺してしまったんだ。
After telling her all I'd been wanting to, I exhaled roughly.
どうしたよ。右腕はもう感覚がない。じゃあ左腕。どうしたの？叫ぶと私を喜ばすと思って。そりゃいいや。
Satoko was unfazed by my mad laughter. She looked at me with gritted teeth and resignation.
ええ、私も。
はあ？
私がニーニーを追い詰めたから、ニーニーがいなくなったその日に、もう気づいてましたのよ。私が甘えていた。ニーニーのすねをかじり続けてしまった。ニーニーも辛かったはずなのに、その点につきまして弁解の余地なんてありませんでしたよ。
Satoko didn't sound as if she was mocking me or trying to please me. She spoke so naturally.
ちょっと意外だね。あんたが自分の罪に
ニーニーはいつか。でもね、帰ってきたら私、背中に隠れたりしないしっかりした一人前になったことを。
帰ってきたらいいね。帰ってきたら。
ニーニーは絶対にそれまでそしてニーニーに今まで甘えてきて本当にごめんなさいって謝るんですの。それまで負けるものか。もう私は絶対にニーニーに甘えたりしないの。どんな苦難にもニーニーの助けを呼ばない。呼ばない。泣かない。泣いたらニーニーが来てたから、私は一人で耐えてみせるんですのよ。
上等。
私をいじめて楽しいならいくらでもお楽しみあそばせ。でもね、それで私がニーニーに私は疑うなら好きなだけ試してみろ。ニーニーは見ててくれる。私が泣き虫じゃなくなったことを見ていて、それをニーニーが見届け、さあいくらでも私は泣かない。北条聡子がどれほどの強さを持つか試してみろ。ニーニー、見てますわよね。見ててくれますわよね。聡子はこんなにも我慢強くなったんですのよ。もう何が起こってもへこたれませんの。こんなことをこの程度で、こんなくらい私は泣かない。助けを呼ばない。耐えられる。耐えてみせる。ニーニーが私に代わって傷ついてくれた痛みにはこんなのはるかに及ばないんだから。
ナタリだろうと僕は絶対に消えない。
消えないよ。
消えないよ。サトコにもうすぐお給料がもらえることになってる。その日までは絶対に消えない。ミオン、
何？
サトコのこと頼むからね。
シオン、もう数えなくていいよ。鬼ってのも悪く、人が泣いたり叫んだりするの、私も人の世ってやつを十分に楽しませてもらったからね。そのうち自らの命を絶って鬼の国へ帰らせてもらうよ。でも安心し、その前にちゃんとあんたは殺して、あんたを殺すために今があるんだもの。人を嘆かせて泣き声をすするのが私の鬼のそうだ、あんたはケイちゃんが好きだったね。よし、あんたの前でケイちゃんを引き裂いてあげるよ。これは極めつきだね。その後にあんたを殺し、私も殺そう。そうさ、鬼ヶ淵村は鬼の村。かつて鬼ヶ淵より湧き出した鬼が村を襲った伝承のある村。私もまた伝承の鬼たちのように猛威を振るい、そしてお社様の裁きを待とう。 それでこそひなみ沢村にふさわしい災禍と言えるだろうね。
あ、ケイちゃんですか？私です。シオンです。電話なかなか出なかったんで。
ちょっと
それでもひょっとしてケイちゃんの家、今ご両親はお留守なんですか？
いや別に留守ってわけじゃ。聞いたか、リカちゃんとサトコの件。
いえ、結局あの後見つかったんですか？
見つからなかった。
ケイちゃん。
リカちゃんとサトコはさらわれた。
はい、それは間違いない。
リカちゃんとサトコは村長さんはまだ生きてるんだろうか？
殺されちゃったんだと思います。
おいおい、そんなに。
人間をさらってその状態を維持するのってとても大変なことだと思います。人質にするんでもない限り、用が済んだら殺しちゃうのが一番合理的じゃないかと。
殺しちゃうって、そんなにあっさり人の命を何だと思ってやがるんだ。
恐ろしいことだとは多分。
村長が殺されたということは、リカちゃんやサトコも同じように殺されたかもしれないということ。いや、そんなはずは。どっかのじじいとはわけが違うぞ。リカちゃんだぞ、サトコだぞ。そんなにあっさりと殺すはずは。
Keiichi was still refusing to believe what I said. He fought so hard because he didn't want to kill his friends within him. I wasn't like that. I killed Satoshi-kun within me so easily. I blame Shion for not protecting Satoshi-kun, but I killed him so easily.
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんも同じだと思った方がいいでしょうね。
It was like their deaths were physically agonizing to him. God, imagine that.
どうしてだよ、どうして人をさらったり殺したりするんだよ。たたりだかなんだか知らないが、人の命ってのはそんなに安いのかよ。あっさり消したり殺したり。
ええ、全くです。悪魔ですよね。
I laughed at myself. I was sure Keiichi didn't notice.
なあ、シオン、教えてくれ。どうしてこのひなみ沢では綿流しの夜に人が死ななければならないことにな。
それは私が知りたいです。
もうダム計画との戦いは終わなのに、どうしてまだたたり足りないんだ。どうしてだよ。理由があるなら言ってみろよ。
ケイちゃんの気持ち、ダム闘争はとっくの昔に。なのに毎年お社様のたたりという名の殺人と失踪が繰り返されている。なぜ？どうしてなんですか？全然関係ない人もいた。たたられるのに不相応な人だっていたのに、どうして？どうして？
それを俺が聞いてるんだ。
それを私だって知りたいんですよ。
Of course, the curse of Yashiro-sama never existed. It was just a bizarre environment that allowed people to kill in the name of Yashiro-sama. The environment and nothing more. Nothing would have happened unless there were demons who danced within it.
いいですか？お社様のたたりなんて非現実的なものは初めから存在しません。ケイちゃんの言う通り、村の何者かがお社様のたたりというもっともらしい大義名分を利用して綿流しのたびに殺しと失踪を繰り返しているんです。奴らは狡猾でした。たたりを都合よく利用して村の旧敵を毎年2人ずつ消し去るシステムを構築していったんです。そしてこのシステムで今年は高野さんたちが殺された。
じゃあ2人で十分じゃないかよ。どうして村長やリカちゃんやサトコまで殺されなくちゃならないんだよ。それに俺は過去のことは今リカちゃんとサトコがなぜ殺されなくちゃ。どうしてなんだ。サトコにはどうしてサトコまで。どうしてなんだ。
Satoshi-kun was speaking through Keiichi's mouth. How could I respond? I didn't know what to say. I could only feel myself being stabbed by the sharpness of those words.
ケイちゃん、も いじめないでください。私だって西宮殿に忍び込んだあの晩から、あの晩高野さんたちが死んだと聞き、耳を疑い、そしてすぐに気づいたんです。今度は自分が狙われる立場になったんだって。忍び込んだのは私とケイちゃんだけが都合よく許してもらえるわけがない、そう思った時、それがどれだけ心細くて恐ろしいことだったか。だから私、君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明け、君吉のおじいちゃん、そしてにっこり笑って本当に笑いながら、任せなさい。
I remembered Uncle Kimiyoshi speaking ill of Satoshi-kun. I killed him, but everyone in Hinamizawa did that. I wasn't the only one at fault.
いつ村長に打ち明け、ごめんな。悲しい気持ちのところにシオンは打ち明けたんだよな。君吉のおじいちゃん、
はい。
いつ打ち明けたんだよ。
Keiichi's tone was becoming sharper. That edge was cruel, but it was a sharp conviction. It wasn't a dull edge that caused excessive pain. It had a clean, pleasant sharpness to it.
村長さんは重い痔を患ってて病院にかかっていたという話を。
それが
答えてくれ。知らないなら
痔だったのは、座る時とか辛そうでしたから。
病院に通ってた。どこの病院かは
でもケイちゃん、
担当直入に聞き、シオンはいつ村長に打ち明けたんだ。どこで。大雑把でいいから。
ケイちゃん、なんでそんなこと。
Very good, Keiichi Maibara. You know who I am, don't you?
ありえないんだよ。村長が失踪、朝から消えるまでシオンには。村長は朝一で誰にも内緒の大学病院へ一人で診察に出かけ、シオンは今この病院を知らないと言った。だから帰ってくるまで。そうだろう。帰りの電車が事故で遅れたので自宅に帰ってきたのは会合の始まる直前だった。つまり会合が始まるまでの時間にシオンも一緒にそして会合の席上でここで打ち明けなきゃもう時間がないもんな。会合が終わった後、村長は帰宅途中で失踪。あの日シオンが行くと言ったバイトすら、君はもっと端的に言おう。君は俺と一緒に行った図書館以降。
ケイちゃん、
園崎綿流しの翌日に失踪したんだ。
Bingo, Kei-chan. I'm impressed.
大石さんは君がすでに。でもシオンはこうして毎晩俺に電話をかけてきてくれただろう。頼むシオン、俺が言ったことが間違ってるならシオン頼むから。
Corner me even further. Corner me so the demon inside can't come up with excuses, so that it can't escape.
シオン、もしあったとしたなら。
The only time I could possibly have seen him on that day was...
村長が会合を終えた後、すなわち失踪する直。
I screeched and screeched with laughter and slammed down the phone. Very good, Kei-chan. That's right. It's me. I'm the one. Hurry and corner me. Hurry. Let me be free. Was he going to tell the police? Or was he going to come here by himself? I wondered which it would be. If the police came, I'd struggle as much as I was able. I'd see how good Oishi would be at catching a demon. If Kei-chan came here alone, that wouldn't be smart of him. He couldn't complain about being eaten by a demon then. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him gruesomely while Shion watches. Therefore, Kei-chan, you shouldn't hold back. I never thought you were just a funny guy. Never thought I could expect so much from you. Fuck off. I apologize for being silent a good portion of that, but I genuinely was not. I was having a lot of issues speaking. I'm not gonna lie. I do see the value in that scene with Satoko, but fuck, man. Fuck. It took them a long time to come for me. I had to wait until the following morning. I opened the gate without checking who was ringing the doorbell. I didn't even care who it was. If it was the police, that'd be fine with me. If it was Kei-chan, could he defeat me? Keiichi and Reina were there.
こんな時間に珍しい。二人とも学校は？
学校は
ケイちゃんはともかく。二人とも不良なんだからな。
I laughed.
立ち話もなんでしょ？入りなよ。
I didn't think Reina would come. Thought it'd be either the police or Kei-chan alone. I'll try tricking Kei-chan to coming with me to the underground storehouse. Reina, why don't you try to figure out what I'm attempting to do and stop me? You too, Kei-chan. If you figured out I was Shion, why don't you try to figure out the rest? I will act like a demon. I will struggle until the very last moment. So don't hold back. Please, don't hesitate to kill a filthy demon like me.
ミオ、まず謝る。
ケイちゃんが何を？
俺は神社の。
I didn't expect this to start with an apology. Okay, so he admitted his sin of entering the ritual storehouse. Guess that was manly of him. I don't even care if the storehouse is forbidden anymore. Whatever. That rule came from those who believed it was a sacred place after all.
ミオ、おとといリカちゃんとサトコを呼んだろ。
覚えはないけど、そう思うに足る根拠があるなら聞かせてもらう。
夕方過ぎのリカちゃんが来たはずだよ。お醤油の大瓶を持ってお裾分けしてもらいに。
Reina spoke with confidence. She wasn't even trying to gauge my reaction. She was simply telling me the truth. That cleverness was very pleasant to see.
どうしてそう思う？
そんなに難しい話じゃない。みーちゃんも見たでしょ、リカちゃんの部屋。冷ややっこがあるのに、そして流しの下にあるはずの醤油の大瓶も。
何それ？それが私のとこへ来る理由になるわけ？
Reina sure is sharp. Tried to beat around the bush, but she was confident in her conclusions. She was cornering me. She was doing such a great job, too. It really put me at ease. Okay, demon. Reina knows what she's talking about. What kind of excuse are you going to come up with now?
長くなるから説明は省くけど、冷蔵庫の中身がみーちゃんの呼び出した話の内容まで如実に物語っちゃってるの。
There it is. This game is over. Reina, I was right about you. I don't like you. You really are just too sharp. That's my goat. Shion is so obtuse that she never even recognized this side of you.
これはとんだ名探偵が身近にいたもんだよ。まさか冷蔵庫の中身だけで電話の内容まで見破るとは。参ったな。参った参った。
I laughed like crazy. I laughed because I was having so much fun. I sensed the poison inside of my stomach dissipating and felt free and refreshed.
ミオ、警察はもうとっくこの家も大石さんの部下が踏み込もうと今も様子を伺ってる。
Kei-chan was threatening me. He was telling me I couldn't run or resist, so I should just surrender and accept my fate. You aren't doing that intensely enough, Kei-chan. Shouldn't you grab my collar and knock me to the ground? Today is the day I'm prepared to die. After that, they went easy, because they just wanted to know the reason why Mion committed such crimes. You all are being too lenient about this. I'm a demon. I'm a murderer. Are you saying that if you can understand the reasoning, murder is okay? A demon is a demon. A murderer is a murderer. Whether their motive is to have fun, to live, or to take revenge, that makes no difference. Why do you even want to know that? Why don't you just tackle me and take me to the police? Look, there. The demon is trying to deceive you.
初めてご挨拶申し、園崎本家当主はミオンでござい。本日はようこそ当主お領に代わりまして、皆様におかれましては私にお話しできることでしたら包み隠さずお話ししたいと存じます。
I then told them about the strange events that led to Onagafuchi village becoming Hinamizawa, which Takano-san had told me about before. About half of it was the truth, but the other half was completely made up. Wow. I just made it sound like it was only natural that their best friend committed such a gruesome crime. Keiichi and Reina were both overwhelmed by the history of Onagafuchi village, which was swallowed by this gloomy fate. Oh well. I guess I made it sound interesting enough. I'm sure they enjoyed hearing me tell the story. But you know, I'm the one who committed the incidents that happened in the present time. What was the point in listening to those old folk tales? Are you thinking it'll make your best friend's crime easier to swallow? You're just trying to satisfy yourselves. I'm a demon. I'm a murderer. I have sinned. These old folk tales have nothing to do with the crimes I've committed. The way those two listened to me so intensely almost made it fun. I told them that people used to make canned human meat and conducted gruesome research during the war. Yeah, of course you'd come up with some shit like that. That's why you told the whole fucking story. Is because that's why you don't like canned food. It's because I'm sure that's the fucking, like, bullshit story that Kasai told you one day. Those are things Takano-san told me. Okay, Takano, I guess. That's honestly a bit more accurate, more than likely. Hey, you two. Haven't you realized yet? Haven't you realized that what I'm talking about has nothing to do with what we're dealing with right now? You both look so serious. You two are such fools.
南沢村を再び鬼ヶ淵村のように。それが我ら鬼ヶ淵村の末裔の悲願であり、
鬼を
我が園崎本家は代々当主の名に私の名前を手のひらにでも書いていただければ一目瞭然かと。
Keiichi tried to write Mion on his palm.
本当だ、鬼という文字が含まれ。
名前だけではありませんよ。この体にも鬼が刻まれているのです。
I stood up and made to show my bare back. Of course, I don't actually have a tattoo there.
いいよみーちゃん、見せる必要なんて。
ありがとう。
I laughed a little. They must really believe that I'm their best friend Mion. My goodness, the demon has won already. They were doing so well at the beginning, too. I eventually sat back down after I finished telling my made-up tearjerker stories. It's your loss if you all shed any tears now. I looked at Keiichi. He wasn't crying, but he was overcome by emotion. I looked at Reina. Surprisingly, she still maintained an aggressive look, showing me her will to fight.
でもみーちゃんはリカちゃんとサトコちゃんを
You're good, Reina.
殺したんだよね。
You know what I just told you isn't an excuse for murder. You usually act like such a goofball, but that's not how you really are. It's because she's the goat. You sure are something. You're far sharper than Shion.
他の人のことは殺してもいいとも言わない。でもリカちゃんとサトコちゃんを。
弁解はしないよ。私には鬼が名前にも体にも心にも。でも手を下したのは鬼じゃない。園崎ミオンが望んだからリカちゃんとサトコがそれは変わらない。レナの言う通りだよ。
Come on, Reina. Try to figure out who I really am. You still believe Shion, my victim, is the real culprit. Poor Shion. I'm making Reina believe that you're responsible. That was it for Reina, though. She couldn't figure out I was Mion.
自首しよう。
Reina spoke to Mion.
私たちも一緒に親友を一人きりにな。
泣くことレナには勝てないわ。
Too bad, Reina. I've won.
自分で自分の罪、たとえ自首が認められても多分もうここに帰っだから最後にわがままを
何かな。
30分でいいからケイちゃんと二人きりにしてほしい。
Keiichi looked startled to suddenly hear his name. You're so insensitive, Keiichi. That's what made my sister cry.
ケイチくんどうかな。ケイチくんが嫌なら。
嫌ならそれでもいいよ。私は鬼だもの。ケイちゃんはよそから引っ越してきた。相入れることなんてお社様が実在して仲介してくれない限り。
Keiichi hesitated a little. Come on, Kei-chan. condemn me. Condemn me and tell me you'd never go.
ああ、いいぜ。
ありがとう。
Fool.
私からもありがとう、ケイチくん。
Reina stood up. As promised, she made to leave.
あ、いいよレナ、ここで待っててくれる。ケイちゃんとは庭をぐるりと回りたいだけだから、退屈だったら私の部屋へ行けばいい。あ、なんだったらお気に入りの単行本丸ごと。
嫌だよ。みーちゃんの本は勝手にレナの家に持って帰れない。
あんたはこんな時に限っていい子なんだから。
Took Reina's head and rubbed it like Satoshi-kun used to do to me.
じゃあ行こう、ケイちゃん。
The game was over. Too bad, Reina. At least this was more fun than if Kei-chan came alone. If he did, he could have asked me to run away with him after hearing my stories. Reina's eyes were like those of a judge. In those eyes, I sensed both affection and observance. I said 30 minutes, so she would probably only wait for 30 minutes. If I took even a second longer, she'd call Oishi. I'm a little disappointed. Reina still thinks I'm Mion. She didn't manage to see through me. Thought someone like her would see the demon in me. I guess I was wrong. Too bad. Keiichi followed me after putting his shoes on.
腕組んでもいいかな。
Such a humble request.
別に構わないぞ。
I took Keiichi's arm. It was as warm as Satoshi-kun's. I felt a little bewildered.
私に腕を組まれたら、例えば急に関節技を決められちゃうんじゃないかななんて思ったりとか。
姉妹揃って同じことを言うんだな。思わないよ。全然。
He was remembering the time when I'd held his arm in town.
シオンもケイちゃんのことが好きだ。
そうなんだ。
I told him how my sister felt. Shion was with Satoshi-kun for a long time, but what they had was friendship. They never had anything more than that. That was why she fell in love with Keiichi. If I were in her position, I would have also fallen in love with him. If Shion was able to fall in love with him, then I could have fallen in love with him too. Keiichi smiled gently. I almost saw Satoshi-kun in that smile. The Keiichi I knew was worthless and superficial. Never realized he could smile like Satoshi-kun.
ミオンとシオンは仲は良かった。
さあ、ケイちゃんは自分の右手と左手は仲がいいと思う？
右手と左手、それは仲がいいとか悪いとか。
そういう関係だから、仲がいいとか悪いとか、そういう尺度では測れない関係。
We'd been together since we were born. We'd been living in this world as a pair. But I was Mion, and she was Shion. Mion was treated specially, and I insisted on being her. Of course, that was unpleasant for Shion. Deciding to be fair, we switched places all the time. We were probably different from other identical twins. We didn't only like the same things or do things the same way. We even managed to share our knowledge and experiences. When we talked about our experiences, we could share them. As Mion and Shion, we shared everything. That was why each of us was both Mion and Shion at the same time. No, maybe Shion was the only one who thought that way. I was a little different than that. I was simply letting Shion be Mion once in a while. I was Mion, the successor to the Sonozaki family. I was supposed to be treated specially. I always thought that was my privilege. Just like everyone tried to distinguish between Mion and Shion, I also tried to distinguish between us.
例えば、利き腕というものがあるように、もしも鍋つかみが片方しかなかったら、迷うことなく利き腕にするでしょ？そういう差はあったんじゃ。だからといって、左手がなくなったっていいなんて思う人は誰もいない。そんな、よくわからない関係だね。
それは近くにいすぎるから見えなくなっているだけで、きっととても仲のいいことなんだと思う。俺は一人っ子だから、ミオンとシオンが二人してじゃれ合っているのを。
ないものねだりじゃないの？双子なんて。昔は人をからかっ、こうして互いがはっきりと異なる個性を持った今では、かえって邪魔なだけ。
As an older sister, I felt I was mean for thinking that way. So as punishment, I became Shion. Who am I? Never had a solid identity in the first place. I was Mion. Then I was Shion. Should have just accepted that. But something has changed. I don't even know if I'm Mion or Shion anymore. Had I really been stupid enough to hope that Reina would figure that out for me?
シオンは、
本当か？
Keiichi looked into my eyes. I nodded quietly.
誰よりもむごたらしい死に方をさせてやる。今日まで その方法はとうとう思いつかなかった。
This was a lie. I've already come up with ideas. I've already begun to execute them. I dumped the hag into the well in front of Shion. I dumped Kimiyoshi and Rika in there. I even killed Satoko too. Right now I'm plotting to kill Keiichi, who Shion fell in love with. I am a demon. Any such gruesome act is simply pleasure to me. That's when I felt a warm hand rubbing my head. It wasn't Satoshi's hand, but Keiichi's. Keiichi and Satoshi-kun are totally different. Why did Shion fall in love with him? His rough hand didn't make me happy. That he understood my feelings was just my imagination. I wasn't happy, and it didn't feel good. It didn't.
来て。私の罪のすべてを見てほしいから。でもそれはケイちゃんにとってこの上なく辛い光景かもしれない。
I'm going to commit my final crime. I'm going to let you see it. I'm going to let Shion see it. When I do, are you still going to think I'm your best friend? Poor Shion. Kei-chan is going to die thinking it's you who's killing him.
引き返すなら今だよ。ケイちゃんの中の園崎ミオンが中に入れば、そのミオン
変わらない。何度だって言う。園崎ミオンは俺の最高の親友だ。
You are such a fool. You don't sound cool at all. I don't understand human feelings because I'm now a demon. But I think I can understand why she loves you. I opened the iron door to the underground storehouse and beckoned Keiichi inside. Come on, Keiichi. This is obviously a trap, don't you see? This basement is transparently suspicious. Don't you think you should run to the police? But Keiichi was reckless. He swallowed, then stepped inside. Huh. You really are a fool. We went down the stairs to the basement, and I led him into the torture room. Everyone is shocked their first time visiting this room. I used to be that way. Of course, Keiichi looked surprised too, but he was trying not to show it. Obviously, he wanted to express his shock at seeing this horrifying room, but he also knew that if he voiced that shocked, that he would be rejecting his best friend, who was trying to confess her sins to him. So he did everything he could to stifle his surprise.
大昔の当主の書き物によるとね、血のしぶきってのは犠牲者に負担をかけない割にはインパクトがあるんだってさ。綿流しは見せしめのショーだったから、私のご先祖様たちは様々なショーを考案してたんだよ。ほら、そこが鑑賞席なんだよ。綿流しは見せしめのショーだから、客がいなきゃ意味がない。
Keiichi smiled quietly as he listened to me. No matter what cruelty came out of my mouth, he would embrace me. Was this really the superficial Keiichi Maibara that I knew?
みんなここで私が殺した。見てくれている観客はいなかったけど、いや、観客は一人だけいたかな。
え？観客？
私という鬼がミオンの執り行う綿流しをずっと見てたから。
I started to laugh. How many hints do you need, Keiichi? When are you going to figure out I'm not really your best friend? Come on, hurry up. You're running out of time. The game is almost over. This was a game. This was a game of murder. I had killed people using my revenge for Satoshi-kun as an excuse. The demon was trying to capture Keiichi and kill him before Mion's eyes. But Keiichi had a chance. If he figured out I wasn't his best friend, then he'd win. If not, he was out. When did I come up with that rule? I guess it was sometime today. Or did I come up with it just a minute ago? Since the two of them aren't too bright, I decided to be easy on them, I guess. You are Mion's best friends, right? Don't you believe in her? Have you already made Mion into a murderer within yourselves? Damn. Why don't you try to protect the Mion within you? Why don't you try to believe your friend can't be a murderer? If you could believe until the very end, like Satoko did, you would have realized I wasn't Mion, your best friend, but just someone who looks like her. But if you can't, if you still believe that I'm Mion, then you're just like me. I killed the Satoshi-kun within me so easily, and you will do the same. You don't deserve to live.
向こうが牢屋。
シオンはそこにいるのか？
You're not going to make it. Once you reach Shion's cell, your time is up. The demon will win.
シオン！ シオンか。
ケイちゃんなの？
Keiichi ran to the cell.
大丈夫かシオン。怪我はしていないの？
Shion screamed. I was standing right behind Keiichi. It was time. My preparations to kill the boy she loved were complete. For her, this was going to be the worst possible torture.
落ち着けシオン。もう全部。
Keiichi tried to quell Shion's distress by talking to her in a calm voice. It was such a funny sight. Keiichi was the only one who had no idea what was going on.
シオン、ご機嫌はいかが？もう誰の死を見るのは嫌。私が憎いなら、憎いのは私だ。早く殺して、
落ち着け。もう終わったんだ。大丈夫なんだ。だから落ち着け。
安心し、あんたは殺す。まだまだ殺す。
It's game over. I gave you enough chances. You cornered me quite well once, but that was it. You couldn't figure out that I'm not your best friend Mion. You couldn't believe that Mion isn't a murderer.
ケイちゃんを殺さないで。ケイちゃんは何の関係もないでしょ。殺すなら早く私を。もう誰が死ぬのも。そんなに死にたければこの男を殺した後にゆっくりとひき肉にしてやるよ。古式にのっとり獅子の先端から少しずつガリゴリと削ってミンチにしてやる。あの肉引き器はあんたのために取っておいてあるんだからね。それともそれでケイちゃんをミンチにしてみせた方が。
おい、今さら怖がらせてどうするんだ。
ケイちゃん逃げて。
Here you are, demon. Go ahead and take my soul. I've been living my life to avenge Satoshi-kun. But that wasn't what he wanted from me. That was just for my own satisfaction. I couldn't even face Satoshi-kun. So I'll bring this to an end in the way I want. The world became a total mess. Satoshi-kun hates me, and I hate myself too. I'm going to complete my revenge. I don't want anyone to sympathize with me. I won't pretend to be some tragic heroine either. I'm going to become a murderer that nobody could sympathize with. So please, grant a suitable final moment to me. A bluish-white flash filled the huge cave. Keiichi fell down like a doll. Shion reached out to him from the other side of the bars. She screamed at me not to kill Keiichi. Go ahead, cry and blame me. Don't even think of offering your forgiveness. I am the most rotten existence in this world. So please, grant me the worst possible ending. Shion begged me desperately to let Keiichi go. I simply abused her, slandered her, and disgraced her. The more Shion suffered, the deeper I'd fall into hell. It wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to deep enough. It wasn't deep enough to compensate for my sins. I dragged Keiichi to the table that I tried to put Satoko on, and restrained him there. Keiichi began to move sluggishly. The stun gun must have not worked too well on him.
聞こえるかいしよ。これから始めるよ。ケイちゃんの若い悲鳴をたっぷりと楽しみな。
いい加減にしろ。
Keiichi squeezed out those words. He sounded good, like he was about to bite me.
ようやくお目覚め。私シオンを一番むごたらしく殺してやろうと思って閉じ込めておいたけど、あれが嘘。
I smiled as I laid out the huge nails and hammer specifically made for the nail table.
あの子に自分のせいで死ぬ大勢の人の悲鳴をたっぷりと聞かす。なかなかセンスいいでしょ。
お前は誰だ。
は？ミオンでしょ。園崎ミオン。恐怖で頭が変に。
違うな。お前が園崎ミオンであるはずがない。
I stopped moving. Kei-chan? Shit. I decided the naming game would be over once we reached Shion's cell. Therefore, even if he guessed this time, it would be too late. Oh well. Sure. I'll listen to you. This is your last chance.
へえ、じゃあ私がミオンじゃなかったら私は誰なわけ？
Come on, Kei-chan. Guess who I am. Why don't you try and save Mion, the girl who fell in love with you?
鬼だ。
え？
お前はミオン。さっきまで一緒だったミオンを返せ。
ケイちゃん、 本当に頭は大事。恐怖で頭がどうかなっちゃった。
触るなこの鬼め。返せミオンを返せよ。俺の最高の友人だったミオンを返せ。
I listened to him with a blank expression.
ミオンを目の前にしてミオンを返すなどと。でも目の前の今のこいつは認めるわけにはいかないんだ。
That's great. So I'm not Mion or Shion. He doesn't even see me as my sister. No. Wait, that's not it. Keiichi protected the Mion in his heart until the end. He didn't accept the fact that Mion was a murderer. Not just that either. He protected the Shion in his heart as well. He didn't conclude that if Mion wasn't a murderer, then it must have been Shion. To Keiichi, Shion was someone who always made fun of Mion. But that was it. It wasn't like they'd known each other for a long time. But Keiichi protected her. He protected Shion from being a murderer. That's why I'm a demon, and not Mion or Shion, huh? A demon, huh? A demon. That's stupid. But isn't that just right on the money?
ケイちゃん、私を笑い涙で溺れ殺すつも。
However, Keiichi didn't back off. He kept screaming. He screamed loudly so that I could hear his voice even when I was stuck inside of a demon.
頑張れミオン。こんな鬼畜生に本当に強い。
Surely he isn't talking to me knowing that I'm the real Mion, right? He's just confusing us again. So there's no reason to let my heart be disturbed by Keiichi's screams toward Mion.
頼むよミオン。どこでお前はこんな弱いやつじゃないだろう。負けるな。戦え戦え。
He's right. I didn't fight back. How did he know? How did he know I didn't fight back? I lost to the demon. After all, I'm weak. I'm not strong enough to defeat the demon. Even so, Keiichi continued to talk to Mion. His voice had become hoarse and he had begun sobbing. He kept mumbling, Mion, Mion.
ケイちゃん、メイドの土産どうしても知りたがっているようだから一つだけ教えてあげ。私の中に鬼が宿ったのは随分。その鬼は私を蝕み強だけれど、私はそれを理性で押さえつけた。鬼はそれで収まり、私はその鬼はどこかへ行ってしまった。でも本当は違った。私の中から出て行ったんじゃなく、私の中で眠っていただけだったの。
That was the truth. When I learned about Satoshi-kun's disappearance, my weak soul couldn't take the sadness, and anger filled me to the brim. But the insanity had stopped there. Time had healed me and embraced me with memories of
そ
Satoshi-kun.
の鬼はある小さなことをきっかけに、それは何に原因があったと思う？
It was such a little thing.
鬼の私が教えるのもあんたが全てを狂わせてしまった元凶。
A tear rolled down my cheek.
あの時あんたがもらった人形を躊躇なく私に渡していたなら、全ては狂い出さなかったかもしれない。
Oh, that actually is true, isn't it? Fuck. I was kind of thinking like, oh, is she just speaking from what Mion's perspective would be? But like, no, like that is kind of a catalyst that kind of put things into motion. If the one we know as Mion hadn't come, crying to her, complaining about not getting the doll and whatnot, and complaining about that interaction, then Shion wouldn't have been set on the course she ultimately went down. That's actually kind of fucked.
ケイちゃんには理解できないだろうね。
Yeah. And that's the thing. At the time in chapter 2, there's no fucking way in hell I could have understood that.
理解できなくて。だけどね。そこからドミノ倒しみたいに。
Yeah.
はじめの小さな一つを倒したあなたに自覚。あなたが元凶だ。
If Kei-chan hadn't done something so insensitive, Shion wouldn't have cried. Shion cried and talked to me about it. That reminded me of Satoshi-kun. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. It was a very small jealousy, but that little feeling woke up the demon who was sleeping deep inside of me. After that, I just let the demon take over. The demon ate up all of my sadness from my loss of Satoshi-kun, and filled my heart with the notion of revenge, even though I knew that wouldn't make Satoshi-kun happy. Then, the scary incidents that followed dragged me to hell, from whence there was no escape.
そんな。
自覚がないのは当然。でも紛れもなく元凶なのはケイチ。あの時あんたがさりげなく人形を私にあげていたら、多分こんなことにはならなかったと。
Was I simply transferring the blame to Keiichi? Such a tiny thing woke up the demon inside of me. The demon would have woken up eventually. See, I do agree with that too. Because even if he had given her the doll, like, if Keiichi had seen, you know, our Mion, like, in a more romantic light, right? And, like, something actually came of that, Shion would have found out and still gotten jealous regardless, right? So, like, or even if nothing became of it, right? I'm sure even if he had given her the doll, if the one we know as Mion goes to her sister, and instead of talking about like how Keiichi didn't give her the doll, she talks about how she did get the doll and how that made her feel and how happy that made her, right? That still probably would have set something off. Because the one we know as Shion would have been like, well, what the fuck? Why do you get to have this thing I always wanted? I was at fault. I didn't fight back. I let the demon live in my soul. And I let the demon possess me. Keiichi didn't hide his tears. They were pouring down his cheeks. Maybe he was crying in my place, since I'd become a demon and couldn't cry of my own will.
じゃあそろそろこの拷問はね、左手の小指の先端の節に順に親指まで打ったらまた小指に戻って、この調子で15本の釘で左手を打ちつける。
And again, I simply must tell you that's not how that works. I don't know where you get the number 15 from. There's simply not that many joints. Like I don't know if Japanese people have a secret 15th joint in their hand that I don't know about. But that's not how the hand joints work. 4, 8, 12, 14. Where 15? See, I almost wish you would have gone through with it, just so I could find out where that 15th nail went. I really want to know. I really want to know where you plan to put that 15th nail. The other 14, oh yeah, I can see exactly where each one of them would go. Where does number 15 go?
それが終わったら次は指先って。たくさんの神経が集まってるから、両手30本を打ち終える前に失神しちゃう人もいるそうだから。
I put a nail to Keiichi's left pinky. Once I hit it with the huge hammer, it would start. And it would be over.
他の人をこう、なぜかあんたにはため。
それでミオンの鬼が気の済むようにやってくれ。
I didn't understand what he just said, so I tried to repeat his own words in my head.
あんた。
俺が傷つけたミオンの痛みに比べれば、こんなの大したことないんだろ。
Right, yeah. And he believes that because he wronged Mion that's, you know, made something in her snap, not realizing that him wronging Mion made Shion jealous of what Mion felt.
気の済むようにするといい。その代わり、俺を気が済むまで痛めつけたら、最後に忍び込んだ罪には、それ。
あんた、この後に及んで 自分よりシオンの心配ができるわけ？
I am Mion Sonozaki. So why are my eyes growing so damp when hearing Keiichi show concern for Shion?
もう一つは気がその体をミオンに返してやってくれ。それだけだ。
あんたって人には命乞いをするとか。
約束3つ目は
最初に2つってだからもうダメ。
そいつは残念。
Even in this situation, Keiichi and I joked around and laughed. Ah, then I knew. I knew why Shion fell in love with him. He's different from Satoshi-kun, but he's a good guy.
多分私は鬼だから。
その時は仕方がないさ。
Keiichi smiled, then closed his
ケイ
eyes.
ちゃん、今の
え
一つ目のね、シオンを救う。これはもう無理。シオンは鬼が殺してそれはもう決められたことだからと。だから諦めて。
I stroked Keiichi's chin.
そして二つ目のね、この体をミオン。これももう無理。今日を境に、今日以降、もし私の姿をした。
ミオンはもう戻ってこないなんて。
聞こえる？あの音。
I'd been hearing a noise. I knew what it had to be. A dull sound was repeating in a regular rhythm. It was accompanied by a light tremor. People were trying to force open the iron door to the underground storehouse.
帰りが遅いから、あのぼやっとした感じの子が。
それについては同感だよ。
Really? Wonder how much Kei-chan really knows about Reina. Not much. Reina Ryugu. I won this time. Reina couldn't figure out who I was until the end. Or maybe she did. Reina didn't seem confused about whether I was Mion or Shion. Perhaps Reina could tell Mion and Shion apart through her sense of smell. She was good at that kind of thing. No way. I'm overestimating her. No, you're not. That's the goat. Brought out my stun gun so Keiichi could see the sparks.
見たことないでしょ？本物のスタンガンだよ。かなり出力が上げられるようになってるけどね。
さっき俺子供のおもちゃには向かねえぞ。
そうだね。
They must have broken the first door. The path was complicated, but there was no other door except for the one to this torture room.
殺さないけど、しばらくケイちゃんにはすぐに大石が来てくれ。ちょっとの我慢。
Keiichi bit down and smiled bitterly. I paused, hesitating a little. Keiichi opened his eyes to see what was
ご
wrong.
めんね。ミオンを怪我して。
ここに入る前に何があっても。
でも忘れて、今日以降。もしも私をそれは、私の屍に取り付いた鬼なんだから。
I'm trying to see, like, I'm trying to predict what the turn of events will be before it just outright shows it to me, but if they identified Mion as the one at the bottom of the well, I can only imagine that's the one we know as Mion, because the one way they could have been able to identify her is by the tattoo on her back. And she did say, right? She said something about like taking Keiichi out and then taking herself out. Didn't she say something like to that effect earlier? So honestly, like, but am I not? Didn't Keiichi's stabbing and then Shion's death from jumping out of this apartment building happen around the same time? Because I feel like, didn't they rule out that the one we knew as Shion, whoever jumped off that apartment building, couldn't have been the one? Or maybe I came to that conclusion in my own head. Curious. Keiichi fell unconscious. I locked the door to the torture room. I locked the door to the huge cave, too. That should give me some time.
シオン、さあ、出ておいで。
I opened the cell and told Shion to leave it. She was
あ
crying.
んたがケイちゃんを見逃し、ケイちゃんはスタンガンで伸び、もうすぐ警官隊が来るから帰。ありがとう、ありがとう。でも、シオンにはまだ用がある。
And yeah, she did say she wouldn't forgive Shion either.
ここから脱出するの。
I took Shion to the cell with the hidden passage.
その前にあんたにミオンを返すわ。脱げ、その服。交換だよ、また。ほら、紙のゴムバンド。
Shion had no idea what was going on, but she changed her clothes as I ordered her to. I gave her the flashlight and she hung it around her
あ
neck.
んたからさ、井戸の底にあるとかいう隠し通路を探すの。
The light from the flashlight wasn't enough to entirely illuminate the way down. Nobody in their right mind would want to descend that well. But Shion obeyed and timidly climbed down the ladder. When she had passed entirely below the rim of the well, I brought out my stun gun and put it to Shion's head. Shion understood the meaning of that.
おねえ、
あんたの望み通り、代わりにあんたを殺してもいいって。お姉はちゃんと約束は守るよ。
Shion's hands and feet were clinging to a very unstable ladder, so there was no way she could protect herself. She was in a critical situation.
ミオンの格好をしたあんたは、私はシオンの格好。ケイちゃんが被害者だと立証。私は岩牢の中で警官。まあ、指紋なんかでバレるだろうけどさ、その頃にはどこかへ身を隠してるってわけ。
Right. So I'm guessing that does have to be the case then. That she must have stabbed Keiichi and then, I guess, fled back to Okonomiya and threw herself off the balcony? I suppose. I don't see how else that could have turned out then.
お姉もなかなかやる。
私を殺すと。
そこまで分かってるなら、そこまで落ちてサトシ君に。
おねえ、この底にはね、
はあ？あんたらここに捨てられて、
園崎家で殺されてれば、そうは言った。
この後に及んで、もうちょっと分かりやすく。
私もね、サトシのこと。
そりゃそう、私が好きに。
だから、サトシが消えた時、
それで、
バッチャにね、絞め殺してやろうって。そしたらバッチャが次期当主にしか話さないよ。絶対に内緒だよって。
Damn. Kept that close to her chest until what she knew was her final moments. That she took her fucking role as a successor seriously. I'll give her that much. God damn. Because she could have told Shion this outright from the onset. The hag said to Shion, the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with the disappearance of Satoshi-kun. Shion couldn't understand, so she asked again. The Sonozaki family held a lot of influence in the underworld because of our dad's connections. In fact, they used such illegal measures during the dam conflict. Therefore, people just assumed the Sonozaki family had pulled the strings when the dam construction incident took place. Even the hag laughed meaningfully and said suspicious things, so everyone believed she was the mastermind. But it was all a performance. It was a hoax by the Sonozaki family head. It was just a bluff. The family took credit for the incidents to make it look like they were pulling the strings. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh. God damn. With the influence they already had, this bluff was very believable. Therefore, people thought of the Sonozaki family as one that had deep connections in the underworld, and that they were capable of producing any sort of conspiracy. People have believed that since the dam conflict. Oreo just smiled at things she had nothing to do with, as if she was pulling the strings. When the relatives saw that, they became fearful of Oreo's power. When the dam construction site manager was killed, Oreo smiled meaningfully. When the relatives saw that, they assumed Oreo was behind it. When the Hojo couple fell off the cliff, when the Hurure couple died violently, when Satoshi-kun's aunt died and Satoshi-kun disappeared, the hag just smiled meaningfully. everyone believed the Sonozaki family was behind all those incidents.
あの事件が園崎家がそんなの信じる。私は特にサトシの失踪については、だってサトシとお姉の爪を見事剥いで見せたから。嘘だ、手任せを言うな。じゃあ誰が誰が、それだけはわからない。
God damn it. And like that's the thing, they've kind of been trying to hint at that for the longest time, right? I feel like honestly from like the jump, even in like the earlier chapters like 1 and 2, they're trying to be like, it's not the Sonozakis behind everything. I feel like they've been trying to hint at that pretty heavily for a while now. And I've just kind of been letting myself believe that has been the case, but I feel like the game has been trying to like really tell you like it's not the Sonozakis. It is not the Sonozakis. But it's doing both, right? It's like on one hand it's very much trying to portray things in the way of like, oh, it's definitely the Sonozakis, but also like several characters and incidents trying to line up with these theories that's like it's not just the Sonozakis. Maybe they have some role in it, but like it's not just them doing everything. There's clearly something else at hand. And I did kind of start to realize that when someone pointed out like how year 5 is like so wildly different to the previous years. God damn it, that just creates so many more questions. Because for, if the Sonozakis are behind it, it makes everything makes sense, right? The pieces fall into place other than year 5, right? And I guess like that's kind of what this gave us a little insight into, is like oh, like year 5 in chapter 2 was not carried out by the Sonozakis. It was carried out by a Sonozaki, sure, but like it wasn't carried out by the family. It was carried out by this rogue member getting their revenge and whatnot. But clearly there's something more at play here. Fuck, man, that's... You hit me with a lot off rip.
でもね、バッチャじゃない。あんただって別にサトシ君を襲えとわざわざばあさんが指示しなくても、そういう仕掛けでしょ。
Shion couldn't say anything in response. Even if the hag had forgiven him personally, as long as he was the object of the curse, the executioner would follow him forever.
バッチャはね、お社様のたたり、誰が起こしてるのかな。だけど、誰もが村の中の誰かって信じ、存在しないならおかしいよね。でもいないんだって。フルでリカが私にそれはどう説明。急須猫を噛むって状況、向こうから訪ねてきて催涙スプレーと、おそらく同じ注射で。それはリカちゃんがそんなことするなんて、実際に見た私でも信じられない。あの死に方を見りゃね。
I don't think Shion and the hag are lying. That would mean the hag wasn't in as much control as we thought she was, though. She didn't know anything about that scary drug, or if the Higurashi family was the one executing the curse. If the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with it, then who made the series of mysterious deaths possible? Was it just a coincidence that something happened 5 years in a row on the night of Watanagashi? That's impossible. A human must have made it happen. And it was all decided somewhere the Sonozaki family wasn't aware of. The Kimiyoshi family didn't know anything. Kimiyoshi believed the Sonozaki family was behind it. Was it the Higurashi family? With Rika's behavior, and the elderly people who believed in her so blindly, did some kind of power exist around the Higurashi family that created the curse? No way. The Higurashi couple themselves were victims of it. How could a little girl like Rika possess a power stronger than that of the Sonozaki family? No way. It's just impossible. In other words, I had killed the heads of all the 3 families and was trying to bring an end to the whole thing, all as a result of a misunderstanding about the dark secret of Yanamizawa. Then what about my revenge? Did I kill all the wrong people? People who had nothing to do with Satoshi-kun's disappearance at all? damn. Damn. Imagine being that's the last thing getting thrown in your face before you think you've fucking completed this master plan. It gets thrown in your face that you killed people who had nothing to fucking do with it.
最後の最後で
お姉ちゃん、私は敵信じてよ。
Shion begged me with tears in her eyes. That would have affected me if I was still Shion's sister. But I don't feel anything anymore, because I'm a demon. I'll be done once I kill Shion. I've already decided that. If I don't finish it up, what would my existence be for? What about the life I devoted to revenge for Satoshi-kun? How dare she tell me all this nonsense to confuse me at the very end? If what she said was the truth and what I'd done wasn't revenge, it was just the curse of the 5th year.
シオン、あんたが本当に無実なサトシ君に。
お姉、
Bluish-white spark lit up the darkness, and Shion disappeared into the well.
天国で。私は天国には行けないから謝れない。
Instead, I'm going deep into hell. Jumping into this well would be too simple an atonement for what I've done. Till I find a perfect way to end my life, I'm going to live as best I can. God damn. Fuck. Damn, girl, you still got time to be writing in a notebook? That's crazy. Shion Sonozaki's last confession is dubious. Did the hag convince her that the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with it? Or is that the truth? In my own investigation so far, I've proven there are aspects of the curse which can't be explained by the Sonozaki family alone. So, my notes were all bogus from the beginning. These 200 pages are full of bullshit. I thought of burning this notebook, but I won't do it. This notebook proves my guilt. I won't distort the facts. I won't burn it. After all, my life was only a notebook long. I wonder if anybody will read this. If somebody does, please let them learn something from my stupidity. The series of mysterious deaths in Inamizawa, dubbed Oyashiro-sama's curse. If you're reading this, please find the truth. That's my only wish. June 1983. Shion Sonozaki. Damn, okay. You know, another I hate to do this again, keep comparing it to Umineko, but another aspect I like that sets it apart from that, where like Umineko is like a lot of like, you, the reader, don't need to know the truth. It's not your truth to know. But then like, with the end of chapter 4, and now with this last note here in chapter 5, like, a lot of it's like, please find the truth. Please discover what is going on. Please discover the root of everything going on here. Like, the game very much wants you to find the truth. Whereas, you know, in Umineko, it's like, if you do figure it out for yourself, or whatever conclusion you come to, that is what it is. You, as someone not involved in any of this, do not deserve to know the truth of what happened on that island. Come to whatever conclusion you like, it is what it is. But this one just being like, please figure out what happened. Please find out what the truth is here. I think it's a very interesting distinction between the two stories. I like it. June 1983. There's been a series of disappearances in Hinamizawa village, Shishibane City, Prefecture. The suspect is Shion Sonozaki, years old. Allegedly, she abducted, imprisoned, and killed 5 Hinamizawan residents, Oryo Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Kichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Puride, and Satoko Hojo between June 19th and the 21st. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but by chance, the case was solved rather abruptly. On the morning of the 22nd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi Maebara and Reina Ryugu. The suspect fled the scene. We found hair, pieces of skin, and blood of the 4 missing people, Oro Sonozaki, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hojo, in the torture room that was discovered in the basement of the outbuilding in the Sonozaki family property. Supposedly, that's where they were killed. We concluded that the victims were tortured in that torture room. Damn, no shit. However, the remains have still not yet been found. According to one of her imprisoned classmates' advice, the bodies should be somewhere in the basement of the outbuilding where the torture took place. However, nothing has been uncovered as of yet, including the escape route the suspect took. In addition, investigations continue regarding any possible connection to the series of mysterious deaths in recent years. But no evidence that Shion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and as those of the Sonozaki family and the residents of Inamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect to require a long time to clarify them. The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishing sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of Hinamizawa village. It is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in this region, and the prefectural police department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing person believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister. And that would make sense why she would act like, she's so traumatized she couldn't remember anything, right? Because then that gives her an excuse to not actually say anything, not waste any time being interrogated and whatnot. Allows her to further carry out the plan she wanted to carry out for whatever reason. However, the incident has left such serious mental after effects that she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions about what she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but as of today, she has yet to show any improvement. I was acting at first. Oh, it started as an act and then it got real, huh? It was just an act to avoid being interrogated by the police. As it turns out, though, fake insanity can become real. You see, I couldn't bear it any longer. I continued to be haunted by the presence of Reina Ryugu had talked about. It was so close that it could almost touch my back. It wasn't Satoshi-kun, and it wasn't a hallucination. It had become Shion's ghost. Oh, in the same way Keiichi was at the end of the story. Shion didn't go to heaven after all. She was always by my side instead. Shion didn't like the fact that I was still alive when she wasn't, so she had decided to haunt me until she witnessed my death. Every night she whispered to me, telling me to die. I get it. I get it. I shouted at the Shion in my back. Through my mouth, she shouted back at me. Most look odd to other people. They think I was arguing with myself. Yeah, and that's what Kasai described, right? It's not fair. Why are you still living, sis? Die. Die. Die already. You said you'd die right after you killed me. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's so dark and cold in this well. It's cold. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I get it. I get it. Shut up. What exactly do you think, sis? You won't die in the way you want to. You're just running away. You're trying to survive, even after you did all those horrible things. You'll never be forgiven. You're cursed. You're cursed. You're destined to die.
やかましいよ、シオン。亡霊のくせにやかましい、やかましい。おねえ、おねえ、クソったれが消え失せやがれ。ミオンはずるい、ミオンだけずるい。姉妹はいつも一緒、死んでも一緒。だからミオンほら迎えに来たんだよ、ミオン。
Shion banged on the door. That noise is too loud. It's cracking my ears, my head open. Shion's trying to break in. Shit. Alright, Shion, I get it. The perfect way for me to die is to be cursed to death by you, isn't it? But I won't be going so easily. I won't simply disappear. It wouldn't be fair if your beloved was left alive after all. I went out into the balcony to avoid Shion, who was on the other side of the door. If I jump over the railing to the neighboring apartment, I could reach the fire escape. Eat shit, Shion. I leaned over the railing and jumped onto the balcony next door. Then I rushed down the stairs, noiseless as a cat. Shion was too stupid to realize that I escaped. It wouldn't take long to get to Keiichi's house on a motorcycle. Shion must believe that I'm still in that room. She's so stupid. Soon enough, I could see them I bought a mansion. Never seen it before, but I heard a great deal about it from Shion. She told me that Keiichi's room is on the second floor. I should wake him up. Throw a stone. I threw a couple of stones at the window, and shortly thereafter the light turned on and the window opened. I saw Keiichi there. The moment I saw him, my madness cooled off for a while. Even from here I could tell that Keiichi was running down the stairs. He showed up quickly, with a doll in his hand. I felt depressed to see it. It was the doll he failed to give to Shion. It isn't fair after all, Shion. I'm so jealous, Kei-chan. I want to receive a doll from Satoshi-kun too.
Mio!
どう元気にしてた
Despite the burning insanity within me, I spoke to him calmly. Ah, it's true. My body's controlled by the demon now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here this late.
お前、こんなところをうろついてて大丈夫なのか?
So that's the thing I didn't consider. I didn't realize that Shion had the motorcycle. So then, yeah, it's probably pretty easy for her to stab Keiichi, zip right back up to Okonomiya, and then, give in to, Shion's ghost, and eventually throw herself off the balcony.
本当はいけない
それよりこんな時間に
最後にお話ししたかったから
I feel horribly sleepy. Maybe it's more like fainting due to loss of blood. That sensation is proof that the insanity is swallowing me.
私ねもう
大丈夫どこか具合でも
今日まで頑張ってもうダメ私のお迎えは
I won't get to decide how I die. Shion won't allow me to. So what we would have interpreted in chapter 2 as like, we think it's Mion being like, they're on to me. Thinking like, oh, the cops are finally closing in on her, so she's making this last-ditch attempt, when in reality, the one closing in on her is the ghost of her sister, and she knows she's about to fucking lose her shit. Wow. No wonder I dropped her down the well. It wasn't only her. None of the people I killed chose to die how they did. Considering that, debating how I'll die must seem a luxurious concern to the dead.
大丈夫かよもう無理するなあそうだ俺ミオに
I'll kill him. Kill him. I'll avenge Satoshi-kun's death. I'll avenge his death. This guy's Shion's beloved. I hate her. I'll kill him and teach her a lesson. Eat this shit. While gravity's pull spun around me, I realized I had stabbed him with a knife. I made it before Shion killed me. I got back at her. Take that, Shion. Keiichi rolled on the ground, clutching his stomach.
できた全部私が殺したやつ
Yeah, I did it. I did it. I avenged your death, Satoshi-kun. Don't you love me for it? Will you stroke my head? Yes. This was all a bad dream. After all, I was just in my room like always, suffering from nightmares of Shion. But where was I now? I had been standing on my apartment's fire escape alone. So who the fuck stabbed Keiichi? Because that's kind of what I was suspecting, right? She says like, oh, I'll just jump from the fire escape to the other one, and they go down the stairs. I'm like, well, that seems like a perfect explanation of why you fell off the fucking balcony. Because that's what Kasai said, is like he heard what sounded like an argument between the sisters in the other room, and then seen she had fallen off her balcony. But then who the fuck stabbed Keiichi? Because Keiichi clearly believes he was stabbed by a Sonozaki sister. So who the fuck would have stabbed him? I could still recall that dream. Yes, I had stepped out into the veranda. My front door was still locked, so I had to climb through the veranda again. Okay, no, she did stab him. But because her front door was locked, she went back up the fire escape. Okay, I see what she's getting at. Alright. She went back up the fire escape, went to jump back to her balcony, and fell off. Gotcha. Whoa. My foot had slipped, and then I felt a floating sensation. After that, a sharp, indescribable pain ran through my head. That incredible pain finally cleared the fog away from my nightmare. I just slipped from the fire escape as I tried to return to my balcony, and fell onto the roof jutting out from the elevator hall 2 or 3 floors down. My room was on the 8th floor. I wasn't expecting to be caught up here. When I fell, my head landed right under the concrete corner. I could feel both enormous pain and the warm blood dripping out. I felt strangely calm. I couldn't sense the demon, Shion's ghost, or my grudge. I felt just like a baby. The nothingness brought me peace. All my memories from when I was born and named Mion, up until today, came to my mind. I recalled memories of the time I'd spent with Satoshi-kun. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Where did I go wrong? When in my life did I make the wrong choice? Ah, I do know just where and when that was, because Satoshi-kun reminded me. I'll leave Satoko to you. Sure, I believe you'll return. I'll be waiting for you. I'll take care of Satoko. I'll wait for you with her. We'll be good girls. You left your precious sister to me and nobody else. I guess I didn't get the significance of what you said. But I'll be fine this time. I love you, Satoshi-kun. Satoko, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Shion, I'm really sorry. Could I repay everything with my death? No way, right? That's not how it should be done. I wanted Satoshi-kun to stroke my head one more time. I wanted to hear him mumble one more time. I knew it was too much to ask. And so, I had no other regrets. That brought an end to my apologies. I rolled over, sending myself falling to the ground. Oh, damn. Because that is true. They said they found her on the ground. But she says she landed on, like, some kind of building that's a few floors higher up. But I guess somehow she still had the energy and will within her to roll off. Head first. I hoped my head would crack open, to take me to the hell I deserved. I was just a demon. I belonged in hell. Why was I born? Why did this world give birth to me? I shouldn't have been born. I wouldn't have had to suffer if I hadn't been. What was the meaning of my meaningless life? If I wasn't born, nobody would have had to suffer. Thank you for treating me kindly, even though I was like this. Thank you for teaching me love, even though I was like this. Even though I was like this. Even though. I'm really sorry, everybody. I really am. I'm sorry. If Satoshi-kun could give me another chance, I wouldn't make the same mistake again. Never again. Ah, here comes the ground. Bye. I love you.
今日までの
Oh,
出来事がすべて夢だったらいいのになって何度も思った。だから書いてみた。書いて夢になると信じて。ほら、よく漫画の中にあるじゃない？私の目の前に食べきれないほどのお菓子が積み上げてあって、それに手を伸ばし、まさに食らいつこうというところで無粋に起こされて目を覚ますの。それはとてつもなく長い夢で、私は1年以上も眠っていたことになる。そう、私は監督の野球チームの試合の後、有頂天に駆け出して赤
what?
信号の横断歩道に踊り出してバイクにはねられてしまった。それでずっと1年以上も意識が戻らなくて、ようやく目が覚めるの。まぶたを開けたとき、そこには病院の天井が飛び込んでくる。それからずっと看病しててくれたサトシくんが覗き込んでくれてさすがにこれはできすぎか。でもいいよね。そういうことにしてもいいよね。生まれてきてごめんなさい。
Breakdown of all persons involved with or linked to the series of deaths in Hinamizawa. Tamae Hojo died via homicide by blunt trauma within the village of June 20th, 1982. Case closed. Satoshi Hojo, believed to have disappeared from the village on June 24th, 1982. Whereabouts unknown. Jiro Tamitake, believed to have committed suicide on June 19th, 1983. Death resembles that of Rika Purure on June 22nd. Investigation ongoing. Mio Takano, death by strangulation in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture on June 19th, 1983. Corpse was found incinerated. Investigation ongoing. Oryo Sonozaki, murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 20th, 1983. Cause of death believed to be shock induced by stun gun. Violently abused post-mortem. Head shows signs of extreme laceration. Rika Purure, believed to have been murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death was shock due to the extreme hemorrhaging caused by lacerations to the throat. Death resembles that of Jiro Tamatake's on June 19th. Investigation ongoing. Kichiro Kimiyoshi, murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death was ligature strangulation induced by restraints. Satoko Hojo, murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death is shock due to hemorrhaging induced by multiple penetration wounds. Mion Sonozaki, murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death is severe trauma due to the impact after falling down a vertical tunnel. Keiji Maebara, stabbed by Shion Sonozaki on June 30th, 1983. Victim was severely injured but is recuperating in a hospital. Reno Ryugu, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Shishibone City. Kurado Oishi currently resides in Hokkaido. Kumagai currently resides in Shishibone City. Irie, address unknown. Interesting. Kasai died of liver cancer in 2002. Ichiro Maebara currently resides in Tokyo. Aiko Maebara currently resides in Tokyo. Tomita currently resides in Shishibone City. Okamura currently resides in Tokyo. Chie currently resides in Tokyo. Kameda currently resides in Tokyo. Who is Kameda? Is he one of the cops, I think? Teipei Hojo currently resides in Tokyo. Keiichi Maebara died in a Tokyo hospital on July 3rd, 1983. Cause of death is acute heart failure. I see. So he was seeing the ghost of Mion in his last moments, huh? Died on June 30th. Shion Sonozaki died on June 30th, 1983. Cause of death, severe trauma due to impact after falling from the balcony of her apartment. The suspect for the serial murders, which began on June 20th, 1983, fell to her death from the balcony of her apartment, which she hastily rented to conceal her identity. Following her death, police filed charges against her for the 5 murders, which began with Oryo Sonozaki. So back in Chapter 2, they did know, at the end of Chapter 2, when they were talking to Keiichi, they were suspecting that it was actually Shion who perpetrated the murders. And shortly thereafter, Keiichi suffered from a heart attack, which I guess from the stress of learning that Mion had been dead the whole time, right?
よっしゃー、お昼だお昼。そらレナ、机をくっつけろ。
今日はレナのお弁当はミートボールなんだよ。
おお、そりゃいいね。おじさんもぜひいただくよ。ほらリカちゃん、机。
くっつけるのペター。残念なことにミートボールは皆さんに一口でも口に入るとは思わないことで。
残念。そうはいかないで。明らかに野菜不足のさとこには特別に
うわ、そりゃいじめだぞシオン。
うわー、かぼちゃは嫌です。
ほら、そのかぼちゃ嫌いはダメです。かぼちゃはですね、育ち盛りのさとこは特に栄養に気を使わないと私の目の黒いうちは変色は認めないので、その覚悟でお願いします。ほらほら、みんなもどうぞどうぞ。
もにゅもにゅ、さとこ、これなら。
お、確かかぼちゃの甘みが嫌みなく。さとこ、お前は食うな、もったいない。
かぼちゃは嫌いですけど、言い方が
そら言って一口にガバッと言ってみなよ。
ほらね、美味しいでしょ。まあ食べれ。
当たり前で。さとこがかぼちゃ嫌いを克服できるように日夜研究してます。さて、この調子で今年中にナス、ピー。
冗談は私が沖宮の学校に転校しまして。
ダメで。サトシくんから頼まれている以上不摂生も許しませんから。そのつ。
シオンさん嫌い。かぼちゃ嫌。
Boing. This is a thank you message for purchasing the game. Select the staff room option. New tips. Oh, okay. Damn. I'm not used to there being new tips after the game, after the main story is actually over. That's definitely a different turn of events. Let's see our new tips. Happy Diary and Disowned. Okay. Go on.
ええ。葛西氏が踏み込んだ時には室内は無人でベランダへの窓がそれでその真下の5階エレベーターフロアの屋根に一度落ちて脳震盪。
I see.
そのしばらく後に横に転がって再落下。葛西氏が飛び降りを疑って地上を調べた時に遺体が見つからなかったのはこの時点ではエレベーターフロアの屋根の上で前原圭一が刺されたのはほぼ同じ頃。その頃には園崎シオンはすでに
So
飛び降
he
りてい
was
て
stabbed at the same
屋根
time.
の上で脳震盪中。
That's what I thought. I thought that like, their deaths had occurred in tandem. Right? Around like the same time.
違いますね。ベランダへまた戻るときに誤って落下じゃない。悪いけど周辺の部屋のベランダとかも調べ直してください。
おいさん。
はいはい。どちら様から。
佐藤と伝えればわかるとか。合言葉は論と言えと。
なああ、こっちへ電話ということはいい知らせでしょうね。
Informer got in contact with me and you were right after all.
ありがとうございます。
なんです今の電話。
ビンゴ。 園崎姉妹は逆。ミオンがシオンで、シオン。入れ墨入れるときに間違って逆にやっちゃって。だからこのノートのミオンとシオンは逆に読むんです。それでならサトシ君とシオンさん、ややこしいな。
True.
の関係が理解できる。
ノートって先日の大石さん宛てと書かれて郵便。
もちろん名前の入れ替えが分かったところで、もし本当ならフルで理科の
異常者の日記ですよ。最後のページの生まれてきてごめんなさいなんて読んでると。
でも幸せな
幸せ。
この日記だけでサトシ君って名前何回くらい出てく。その好きというのがね、若さゆえの勘違いでずれちゃって。
And then disowned.
ねえ、教えてよ母さん。鬼ババとどういう喧嘩をしたわけ？
Oh, is this in the alternate world where everything had a happy ending?
感動されるなんてよっぽどだったわけでしょ？
お前もくだらないことに興味が尽きないね。ま、そろそろ話してもわからないと。実はね、父さんと結婚したいって言ったらね。私も当時はだいぶ社内生き方してて呆れられててね。その挙句連れてきた男が人気者だったわけでしょ。そりゃ大喧嘩よ。いい名付けは当主が決めるなんて言われて、そんなの知ったこっかい、こんなクソババア、この場で切り伏せたらって大立ち回りよ。互いに板の間の日本刀抜いてちゃんちゃんバラバラ。
お母さんやるね。
まあね、母さんこう見えても若い。互いに剣道有段だから、そりゃあド派手。周りはおろおろ。面白かった。
なるほどね。その騒ぎの。
そうよ、感動上等。遠慮なく感動もらってと。ま、けじめってことで爪を剥がされた。ほら、左手の爪だけいびつでしょ。うわ
ー、それで鬼
私と鬼ババ様は。
嘘だ。
鬼ババ様には面倒な世間体があるからね。だから私も親類会議とかではおとなしくたまに遊びに行ってのんびりお茶とか飲んでるよ。
嘘だ。
実はね、内緒よ。鬼ババ様もね、今度会ったら左手の爪をよく。
鬼。
そうね。
あ、その顔は知ってるな。教えてよ。
Damn. Okay. So Oreo also removed her fingernails at one point as a form of atoning for things she had done in the past. Damn, that's quite the thing to drop. Yeah, that. So it shows that like Oreo clearly did show some remorse for some of the shit she had done in the past. Okay. Well, what's in the staff room? Do you think that murder can be justified, depending on the motive? In very very specific cases, yes. Hi, this is Higurashi. What's up? Thanks for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi. Although I depict many deaths in my work, I often ask myself a question. That question is there such thing as a justifiable murder? Yes. In our world, murder is prosecuted and the degree of punishment varies depending on the motive and circumstances. Having different degrees of punishment means that we are putting a value on the dead person's life. I suppose. Some scenes justify murder in Higurashi. By degrading the life of the victim in those scenes, the player can sympathize with the character more easily. The degree of sympathy would be different from person to person. The people who could sympathize probably felt catharsis, and the people who disagree with the character might have felt uncomfortable. You're not wrong there. That's indicated by how opinions were polarized regarding Keiichi's actions in Tatarigoroshi. Yeah? In Meakashi, there are also a number of murders. but this time the main character Shion tries to earn sympathy for each one of them. How did you feel? No. I didn't feel sympathetic a single time during that entire fucking thing. Like, even the one I kind of gave to her with audio, like, especially with that last scene, right? With that last tip scene, with what we just saw, the fact that audio had atoned, especially now in this moment, I can't really, I can sympathize with her just because of how the way Shion was ultimately treated by being like sent to this, away to this academy and kept away from her family like that. I definitely don't think that justifies the murder of audio, but I can understand like the resentment there, and I can sympathize with that a bit, and being wrapped up in, you know, everything going on in the village and whatnot, and having the idea of like, you know, the Watanagashi festival in the back of your mind, and thinking that she had done something to Satoshi. I can like sympathize with it. I don't think that murder was justified, you know, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think Audio deserved to die. But especially any of the later deaths, you know, Kiichiro, especially Rika and Satoko, Mion, no, I didn't sympathize with any of those deaths. I really didn't. Or with any of those murders. I didn't sit there and go like, well, Shion kind of has, you know, some reasoning for doing it. No. I mean, in Rika's case, like, Shion just defended herself, right? She clearly saw Rika as a target, but like, she really just kind of defended herself. And when Rika realized she was fucked, she took her own life. So like, I can at least sympathize with Shion in the sense that she was just defending herself when it came to Rika. She was just like, oh, like, I threatened the girl, so like, she's probably, she thought she was coming there to apologize, right? And be like, oh, I'm so sorry for crossing your path, my queen. But then when she realized, like, nah, Rika was out for blood, she was like, oh, fuck, I gotta, like, defend myself. How much were you able to sympathize with her? Very little. Very little. Because, like, regardless of how Satoshi-kun was killed, why do I add Kun as if, like, I'm reading it? Like, I'm not reading the script. He's just Satoshi to me, goddammit. I don't know him like that. But regardless of how Satoshi... I almost said Kun again. Regardless of how Satoshi might have been killed or not killed, regardless of what happened to him, I still don't think that anything she did was justified, and there's really not much I can sympathize with her on any of it. If you couldn't sympathize with her at all, then please berate her as a crazy murderer. Like, yes, in a sense, but there's... Okay, so I guess there was some sympathizing to be had. I can sympathize with the fact that she had a very fucked up upbringing, right? Because of the situation with the family, with the village, with everything going on. Her upbringing was very piss poor, and I can sympathize with that. I don't believe she's just some lunatic. I believe she was a person who was pushed to a breaking point. She endured a lot of shit, but ultimately was pushed to a breaking point. That doesn't mean anything she did was justified, but I guess I can sympathize with her a bit. If you sympathize with her at all, then please have mercy on her. Now, see, I don't like this black and white shit. Like, no sympathy, she sucks. She's a heartless, crazy murderer. Any sympathy, have a little mercy on her. Like, no, I think we can still be critical of her without jumping to, like, she's a totally irredeemable piece of shit. I don't like her by any means, but, like, I guess that's my essence of mercy, is just by saying that, like, she's not totally irredeemable. If you sympathize with her almost entirely, then please have mercy. If you sympathize with her almost entirely, like, no, you need help. You also need help, as much as she did. She definitely needed help, so if you sympathize with her entirely, like, you absolutely need some fucking help. if you completely sympathized with her, then please let us berate both of you as crazy murderers, lol. True, that's what I'm saying. What about me? Well, that's a secret. I'd like to reverse my question this time. What kind of murderer could you sympathize with if you were to be killed? That is a tough one. What kind of murderer? If I were to be killed? That's the thing. I could sympathize with a murderer who, did something for, like, the greater good, right? The people who go out of their way to, like, assault and kill, like, known pedophiles, all for that. When I see people beating the shit out of Nazis in the street, that's awesome. I love that. And even if they went a step further and it was more than just assault, I'd still probably be like, overall, a greater good for society. So, like, a murderer that ultimately brings a greater good for society, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? Or, like, you hear these stories of these fathers who, like, something happened to their kids, whether their kids were, sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, their kids themselves were ultimately murdered. So these parents, like, the justice system doesn't do anything to but then again, that's acting on, like, we know that there's deeper to situations on that one, but it's like, yeah, shit like that. When the murderer brings an overall positive on society, that's one where I can sympathize with, ultimately, right? Or shit done in self-defense. If you believe your life is in danger, but then again, that I feel is also an ultimate plus to society, is like, you're murdering a murderer, right? If someone is trying to kill you and you kill them while defending yourself, you were killing someone who was more cold-hearted than you were. That's just where I take it myself. A murderer who doesn't care about people's lives? No. That'd be quite a regrettable death. It's extremely sad to be killed in denial of all your values. A murderer who begs for forgiveness in tears? No. That's the thing. If I'm the one being murdered, I don't feel I've done anything in my life to have my murder be justified. I don't think there's a single thing I've said or done to where, like, if someone has murdered me, right? If I'm like stabbed and bleeding out and I know I'm going to die, I don't think there's a single way I could look at someone and sympathize with them for fucking killing me. And I suppose you could say that of a lot of victims, because, like, even in the scenarios I listed of where I could sympathize with a murderer, I'm sure the victims themselves are usually, like, very narcissistic and be like, oh, I didn't deserve to die. But it's like, yeah, if I myself am the victim, no, I really can't sympathize with it. Like, that's the thing. Even if you have this tragic backstory, it's like, your tragic backstory does not mean I deserve to die in any fashion. So I don't think there's a single murderer I could forgive if I myself am the victim, right? I'm not trying to act like I'm Mr. Perfect who's never done anything wrong in my life. I definitely have, but I haven't done anything worthy of death. That's for damn sure. That'd be quite regrettable too. They shouldn't kill you at all if they're begging you for forgiveness. Yeah? So what kind of murderer could you sympathize with? In the end, sympathy might just be a method for making the story more interesting. Also true. If you can sympathize, it's fun. If you can't sympathize, they're just crazy. We cannot put value on human life. It's a sin to even try doing so. A murder is a murder. Nothing more than that. I just hope everybody can live happily together. God, if only, bud. How does that sound? Sounds like a dream. Too bad dreams aren't real. Would you agree to that? Absolutely, bud. I think that sounds awesome. I wish life could be like that. If you wouldn't... Oh, I like what you're getting at there, my guy. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi. I can only bring out this 5th episode thanks to all of your support. Higurashi will only get more intense as it approaches the finale. Nothing would make me happier than if you continue reading the chapters to come. Oh, absolutely. The next chapter will be titled Sumi Horoboshi. Really, I'm rather fortunate if you enjoyed yourself even a little. Thank you again for playing. I hope this has brought a little color to your life. Sure. 7th expansion, Rikshio 7. Interesting. So that's what we get instead of the all-cast review? Is Rikshi sit down and be like, let me talk to you. Alright? Let's talk about murder. You and me, bud. Let's sit down. We're gonna have a nice little chat about murder. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright. Well, this recording started off fucking absolutely terribly. But, you know, it was a very interesting chapter. Overall, very interesting chapter. It was very interesting to see, like, what is essentially the truth behind chapter 2, right? So I'm wondering if that's where, like, the next few chapters go, but, like, I feel like there's more questions that need to be answered that just say, well, no. If we see, like, the actual truth behind chapters, 1 and 3, right? I feel like that would actually give us the answers we look for, but I feel like it's going to be a bit more than that. I don't know. I'm very interested, though. Very interested. And, you know, as far as I'm aware, Satoko doesn't end up dead in chapters 1 and 3. 1, kind of unknown, because we don't exactly know what might have happened before Keiichi got caught up with, Mion and Reina, but, like, 3, like, as far as we know, she died to the gas explosion, as far as we know. Maybe it played out differently. But that was easily the worst part of this chapter, and that's not for, like, story reasons. For story reasons, I do see what it contributes to the overall story, but for me personally, and with my connection to Satoko, I fucking hated it. I myself did not like that scene at all. But also, I'm not one of these whiny pussies who's going to be like, the story made me feel uncomfortable, it's a bad story. Like, no, I do see what it contributes to the story, and I think the overall story is very interesting and I enjoyed it. But goddamn, I was genuinely feeling sick to my fucking stomach, and I was genuinely getting choked up and was having trouble actually speaking. It was rough. I didn't like it. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to wrap up this recording session here. I don't have a whole lot of time left, so yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up early today, and then next recording we'll jump into chapter 6. Yeah, chapter 6. This was chapter 5. Still got 3 more chapters. We still got a good chunk of this story left to go. I was gonna say, it would have been pretty interesting if I could actually, wrap up this game by the time I hit like late June, so like aligns with the dates. That'd be pretty neat. But I think with 3 chapters left to go, I don't think 1 month is gonna cover it. But yeah, very excited to see what chapter 6 has in store. Very excited to see what the back half of this story has in store, right? Had no idea chapter 5 would go the direction it did. I don't know what direction the next 3 chapters are going to go in. And by God, even though chapter 5 is supposed to be the beginning of the answer arcs of the story, still left me with more questions. Still put more questions on my plate. It definitely gave me some answers. It gave me some information to work with, but it also said, hey, here's some information. By the way, here's some more questions. Like, all right, well, fuck. I guess I gotta keep playing. I need my answers, goddammit. We have to find the truth. But yeah, like I said, gonna wrap this one up here for today. So thank you to everyone watching. It's all much appreciated. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Till then, peace.